out of her mind. So, a little bit, but that's okay. Hi.
Hi there. Right, do you think anytime in the future you'll be planning to do any big series like Battlestar? Do you think you just stick with movies or something like that?
Well, I mean, I planned on doing big series, but they didn't work, so I ended up unemployed, which is fine. But movies it's a lot of fun. I mean, I've done television. I've been on television since I was 18, so it was doing movies is something that I haven't really done before because I've been so busy on Battlestar and with other series work that I didn't have the opportunity to. And now that I have the opportunity to do film, it seems really great because it's 45 days of work and then you go home. So it's I mean, for Battlestar it was 9 months out of the year, so it was a lot of work. And then when I started doing like Bionic Woman and Nip-Tuck like at the same time as Battlestar, it's like I didn't sleep for 2 years. It was crazy. So movies kind of seems like a vacation to me. So I'm really excited. So I don't know what I'll do. It's one of those things where I feel so blessed to actually wake up in the morning and get to act for a living that I kind of don't care what I do. I feel as long as I can work and be proud of it, then it doesn't matter to me. So.
Hi, sorry.
I have no idea where people are. Hi.
I'm very short as well, it doesn't help. Were there any scenes when you took Battlestar that, because at a later date they were adjusted to CGI, were really strange to shoot at the time?
Shooting in the Vipers was really weird at first because I'd never done any fantasy work before. So, I mean, it was all green screen work and it was kind of like when you're a little kid and you sit in a cardboard box and pretend it's a race car. It's exactly what the Viper work was like. You just had to kind of go for it. And it was really embarrassing for like the first year, and then we just kind of got over it. We were like, it's fine, everyone looks like an idiot. So, and it was hot in there too. So inside those suits was like 15 degrees hotter than it was outside, and inside the bubble of the plane it was like 10 degrees hotter than it was outside. So you were basically dying the entire time you were in the plane. And then this scene in Razor when we got into the plane or the other ship, like because we were SWAT people or something like that. I don't even really remember the episode, but I know that we had to like get onto the other ship, and so we had to float through the sky. And so they had us on like the green screen, laying on a board that was like this. So you're like this, laying on the board, pretending like you're floating through space. There's just no coming back from that. Seriously, you get to that point and you're like, I've done it all. It's fine. It's totally fine. So, there was also a really good scene with Jamie and James. Do you guys remember the scene where she was sleeping with Baltar, but she was imagining it was Apollo? Okay. That scene. So many times in my job I feel like a hooker. So in that scene, I was just on the bottom, and James and I were doing the sex scene, which is awkward already, especially because I know their wives. It's very, very awkward. So I'm doing the scene, and then James gets off and he goes, all right, thank you. I'm like, okay. And they go, Jamie! Get on! And I was like, oh my god! And then I look over, and Trisha Helfer is laughing her ass off because she has to sit in the room the entire time and watch it and not move because like number 6 isn't supposed to be there. So she's like this. And she's trying not to make me laugh because I'm looking right at her, but I'm not supposed to see her. It was really surreal. That was one of those moments we were like, I did not expect this. I did not expect this in my life, so.
We have one final question.
Wow, this is a quick Q&A. This is the fastest one I've ever done.
Hello.
Hi.
I have one question.
This is my last question, so it better be really good.
I hope it's good. because your character dies in the nebula, and then you come back.
You're gonna ask me a hard question.
This is a hard.
Okay, wait.
So
my character died in the nebula.
Yeah, and then you come back, and there's the whole bit where you find your body, and then in the final episode.
Right, which is where Ron Moore used the line,
disappear.
"What am I?"
Yeah, you just disappear. How was that presented to you as, or were you just told, yeah, I disappeared, and I was an angel the whole time, or what was?
They didn't tell me anything. Like, I came up with that I was an angel, just because I wanted to be special. So they were like, "What's Starbuck?" I'm like, "She's God." I don't know. So I just made it up because I wanted to be more special than everybody else. And so I read the script and I was like, so Apollo turns around and like Starbuck's just not there. And they're like, no, like she's gone. I'm like, well, where did she go? And they're like, I'm like, no, seriously, where'd she go? And they're like, we don't know. So my whole goal was to give Starbuck like an end story. And so at the very end, in the scene with Anders, Michael Trucco and I made up those lines. There was more dialogue, and we cut it out because that's what we do. But then he said to me, "I'll see you on the other side," and he added that in. And so to us, we were kind of trying to give these two people who had such tragic endings, because they both really had tragic endings. We were trying to give them some sort of peace. So we have just imagined that they were off together. That story of Michael ending up to be one of the final five, that whole reason that he was one of the final five was, well, not the whole reason, because he was one of the final five, right? The whole reason he was in the tub is because of his accident. Like, he actually got in a very serious accident where he broke his neck right before we were to come back to shooting, and they didn't know if he was going to walk again. So, I mean, the fact that he lived was amazing, but walking again was just so far out of the expectations of the doctors. So the writers actually wrote in that he was in the bathtub because they didn't know he was going to be able to walk. So him ending up in that tub kind of made Starbuck end up with the I mean, had he not been in that accident as Michael Trucco, the end of Battlestar would have been completely different. So it's just one of those things where the writers, they just take it as they go. You know, they kind of knew where they wanted it to go, but then outside circumstances changed the story, and it ended up where it, you know, where it did. So, but no, they looked at me and said, "You disappeared."
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Everyone can give a round of applause to Katee.
Thank you.